What's up, guys? We are back for a fight night recap after UFC 273. The big pay-per-view wrapped up last night. Amazing night of fights. Prediction-wise, man, there's a lot of picks that I got wrong, I'll tell you that. And along with a lot of other people in the betting world, Peter Yan let me down, really made this a losing night for me, which I kind of knew in advance that it was a risk putting all of my eggs betting-wise into three baskets, which were Khamzat Chimaev. Close fight, amazing fight, but was glad to make it through that. Peter Yan, dropping the ball against Aljamain Sterling, who played a great game plan. You got to give him props for winning probably, what was it, rounds 1, 2, and, rounds 1, 2, and 3, I believe were the ones that he must have won. I haven't actually looked at the judges' scorecards for it, but I assume those were the rounds. At the time of that fight wrapping up, like a lot of other people, I thought it was sort of a robbery. Like Peter Yan, I thought it was kind of a robbery. I thought he won rounds 1, 4, and 5 pretty decisively. But round 1 was the toss-up round. And after watching it today with a fresh mind, I can see where they gave that one to Aljamain Sterling. I can see where Peter Yan was missing wildly with a lot of shots. He did, on the metrics, get outstruck. And as far as even attempting more activity, it was Aljamain Sterling in round 1. Even though he was being stalked, he landed technically more, and he was at least attempting things and being a little bit more aggressive. He was getting stalked down. It was an iffy round, and it was iffy enough where I don't cry robbery about that fight anymore, like I kind of was last night, But like I said in my best bets video, that's the risk of parlaying, strongly two guys, and then also parlaying the third guy on there, Chimaev, but that all came tumbling down with that fight. It was a split decision loss. I'm glad it was, because I'm not too angry about losing. If I'm going to lose a bet, I want it to be as close as possible, where my side, at least one judge called it for my side, so the read wasn't that off. But man, giving up his back time and time again, Peter Yan really let me down there. So, going off of the best bets and props video that I put out, some of the other things I put to bail myself out, I didn't choose the right fighters to bail myself out either. Jared Vanderaa on the money line, I had 1 unit on him going in there. And, let me back up. Let me go to Volkanovski. Volkanovski did his job, as always. It was a little bit lesser of a challenge for him than it was for Peter Yan in his fight. At least he had to fight a guy that was, ranked number 6 or something outside of the top 5. It was more clear-cut. If there was one fighter I was most confident in, it was Alexander Volkanovski. The guy is a gamer. The guy is just so head and shoulders above most other people in the division, and he made it look very good. So I needed 3 propositions for him, which I actually loaded up on a unit apiece on these propositions after the Peter Yan loss. So once I saw that parlay was destroyed, and I was down like about 15 units, between all the parlays, it was I kind of chased my losses a little bit, I'll admit, and just added a unit onto each of the 3 props I already had, which, I'm glad that paid off. It's always a dangerous thing to do, to chase your losses, but I added on under 4.5 rounds, 1 unit to that at plus 115. I added on an extra unit to Volkanovski inside the distance at, it was I think that was slightly plus money. I think at the time that I put this additional unit on, that was minus 110. And then an additional unit on the bout special and Bovada, which was Volkanovski to land a knockdown at plus 100. So then I had 3 units. I had 2 units on the under 4.5, 3 units on the knockdown bout special, and 3 units on the inside the distance. So at least those cashed. He saved a little bit, but it was still a huge blow to the betting bankroll, losing. At that point, it was like minus 15 units after the Volkanovski fight. That kind of netted us about 7.5 units back. But then what I was getting to before, Jared Vanderaa on the money line, I had 1 unit on his money line at minus 110, and he goes in there with the worst game plan of all time. Is doing well on the feet, cracking Alexei Olenek with some big shots on the feet where he should have kept the fight. Ends up getting into a scramble and following him to the ground, attempting submissions. I'm the submission specialist. I get that you're a BJJ black belt and you're the younger guy, but my God, dude. He's like throwing up triangles. He's trying to choke out Alexei Olenek. I mean, talk about getting greedy. And then he ends up getting choked out himself. So, my goodness, in round 1, no less. He couldn't even let it finish round one. So yeah, that's another unit down. I lost the unit on that. I had fight starts round 2 as the prop for that. So couldn't even wait and get choked out. Had to be a bum, get choked out by a 60-year-old man in round 1. Just despicable. And then, you know, this is a case where I watched the weigh-ins and it only hindered my judgment for this fight. Aspen Ladd, I had a unit on the prop by decision at like plus 250. You know, at least it went to decision. You know, at least we were that close. But she lost rounds 1 and 2 against Rocky Pennington so decisively. Got doubled up on strikes in rounds 1 and 2, and then finally turned it on round 3. Got controlled time, beat her on the numbers on the strikes, and you know, lost a clear-cut decision. She finally woke up, and Rocky slowed down a bit. So what are you gonna do? You know, I chose the wrong 2 fighters to bail me out. This is just a bad beat. It was just a bad night. Mostly because of, you know, we had our stock in 3 fighters and one of them failed. You know, that's gambling. That's how it ends up. So I probably should have seen in hindsight that Aljamain Sterling fight was going to be a little bit closer than it was. Shout out to anybody who got that monster prop where it was Aljo by split decision, was sitting at some, you know, like plus 2,000 or plus 1,600 or something crazy like that. If you got that and that helped bail you out, that was a great insurance policy. But that's just not my style. I don't really bank on things like that to any large degree. I might throw a quarter unit on something if something's crazy, but I'm not going to throw a whole unit on a prop like that usually, unless, you know, the fighters have a history of making things close. But, you know, that was a good look. Whoever got that proposition. You know, we'll just have to look to the future and try to dig ourselves out of this hole. Obviously, we're still up for the year, but this is the beginning of a new quarter, so, you know, I kind of want to take things quarter by quarter and keep getting better. So, Bilal Muhammad taking on Vicente Luque, the sequel, next week. Awesome fights on that card, too. Some of my favorite fighters are on there. Healy Alatang returning. This guy, Caio Baralho from the Dana White Contender Series, Brazilian prospect making his debut. Miguel Baeza taking on Fialho. Pat Sabatini. I mean, there's a lot. Even the guys, that guy from the Contender Series, Martin Boudet, European heavyweight prospect, taking on Chris Barnett. So it should be a fun event. There's a lot of fights on there. Hopefully most stay intact and we can get our money back. So we'll see you guys next time. I'm going to get back to the research, back to the tape study, back to the stats, and hopefully we will dig ourselves out of this UFC 273 hole. I never do too well. Compared to the fight nights, I do worse on the numbered pay-per-views. I don't know what that is, but we're going to try to fix that for the future, and we'll see you guys next time.